There was an article in Mother Jones, which I've never heard of before, but they're talking about a series of articles, or a series of studies, mostly done by Brad Bushman, Craig Anderson, and the like, which have found, to varying degrees, namely 0 to very little, that playing violent video games, at least for the short term, can increase aggressive thoughts and behavior in those who play them, at least for a little while, and at least by some small measure. I've read a lot of these studies, and I have seen 0 that have actually quantified what that increase in aggression means or manifests itself as. You know, an increase in aggression. Well, you know, I can play a game and go, damn it! That's an increase in aggression, but I don't think we're really worried about me, you know, snapping and, you know, killing my neighbors. So what this site does is they're looking at all this idea that video games can cause aggression, and they're thinking, well, you know, the last 2.5 months on Twitter have been somewhat aggressive in certain areas, you know, with people, you know, saying nasty things to each other and doxing each other and threatening each other with rape and death. So like, golly, that's aggressive. Maybe it's the video games, those violent video games that we're playing that are making us aggressive and making us act like assholes on Twitter. Because there's this huge meta study from 4 or 5 years ago that you know, looked at, you know, a few hundred of these studies. They said, my gosh, you know, the punching doll test and the air horn test, they all show that playing violent video games increase aggression in some small measure. So you know, people are playing video games and they're getting their aggression raised, and they're getting on Twitter and they're threatening to rape people. That's at least what I got out of the story. And I don't totally... I think it's kind of an interesting idea, but I still am not convinced that video games increase aggression to the point where it changes who you are. Because while, you know, the threats and things that are going back and forth on Twitter are undoubtedly aggressive, aggression isn't the only ingredient needed to, you know, tweet a death threat. You also have to be an asshole.
Yes.
You know? As far as I've seen, playing video games don't make you an asshole. You have to actually be an asshole in the first place. And then, you know, asshole plus more aggression, maybe that's what's, you know, tipping someone over into... It's like, oh, I don't like Anita Sarkeesian. Her stuff is lousy, and that shirt she's wearing is dumb. And then you play a violent video game, it's like, die in a fire, Anita Sarkeesian! You know? And maybe that was just enough aggression to push an asshole over the edge into making stupid comments on Twitter. But if that's the case, then it's not really the violent video game's problem that you're an asshole. You know, because it's not like violent video games are the only thing that could possibly increase your aggression.